These guys survived the David Kahn era of Timberwolves basketball and live to tell about it. It's Flagrant Howls.
Okay, what is the Wolves' magic number right now to clinch the number one seed in the Western Conference? Can we start counting down now? I mean, it's a 3-game lead. I mean, they could lose like 3 straight games and still probably be in sole possession of first place in the Western Conference, Con.
I said on Monday that I had a little PTSD during that Hornets game.
Yeah.
I just want to, because some people care. This is a lifestyle podcast. We're all checking in on one another. Never had that last night. I don't know if that's a sign of growth for me. I don't know if I should be commended, but it was close in the fourth quarter. It was close throughout the whole game. The Spurs, I think, had like an 8-point lead at one point. I never wavered. I never thought they were going to lose. I know it would have been embarrassing, but I just want to say, sign of growth for me. 48 minutes, I was like, they're going to win this. And then down the end of the stretch, they just kind of leaned on them like a prize fighter and knocked them out.
The most triggered I was last night, and I'm trying to reevaluate my relationship with Twitter and just be in a healthier headspace with Twitter. But last night, I've been trying to do less in-game reactionary tweets that could get picked up by the algorithm a day later and get dunked on. So I'm growing here. But somebody, I can't remember if they tagged you or not, but someone jumped in, like they're playing like crap in the first half and they're down by 6 or whatever it was, down by 8. And someone jumped into, it was for sure me and Judd, and I feel like you got tagged too, watching the Wolves for the first time in a long time. Why should I be impressed? Like, screw you, buddy. Screw you. Dude, they've played 20 games. What did they play? They played 20 games. You couldn't duck in on any of the other 19. Couldn't have ducked in on that Celtics game for 5 minutes? Or the fourth quarter of the game against the Spurs last night? I'm ducking in for the first time, and I'm not impressed.
That's
okay.
such
all right,
massive.
guy.
That's such massive. My favorite place of all time is going to Maui, and that's where I got married and proposed, and it's my favorite spot. And it is 85 and sunny, damn near every day. But there will be like one random rainy day, and that guy flew through Hawaii that day. I was like, oh, what's this? I thought it was supposed to be nice here. It's like,
not
buddy,
impressed.
It's rained for 4 hours, and otherwise it's 16-4, my guy, 16-4.
16-4. They currently, let's go through some stat porn here. I feel like it's never too early in the show to do stat porn. You sent me this one via text. If I'm stomping on your stat porn here,
go to work.
But Automatic NBA says 40% of teams who've started, so 40% of teams who've started 16-4 or better in the 3-point era, so 1980-ish, have made the finals. And I'll give you another one. We were doing some deep stat diving a few days ago on the show, and then the next day with Judd, I think it was Tuesday's Flagrant Howls, I went deeper on if you are the best defense in the NBA defensive net rating, how far do you go historically? So this one I just read is if you're, forget about defense or anything, if you're just 16-4 or better, there's almost a coin flip chance you go to the NBA Finals. If you are the best defense in the NBA the last 30 years, 100% of the time you make the playoffs. So that's not a question. 68% of the number one defenses make the conference finals, and 35% make the NBA Finals. So could you say safely here, if they remain the number one defense, and given that they've already started 16-4, that there is between a 35 and 40% chance, based on this data, that the Wolves play in the NBA Finals? Can we do that? Can we do that deduction?
The podcast you did with Judd and Declan was great, and I think it was. I'll be upfront with this. I think it was the turning point that was like, okay, I think the car is moving a little too fast. I just want to slow down, and like I'm not able to see every mile marker, and I want to count the mile marker. So I think that's a great stat, right? Like in the last,
and if we're to the point now where if they don't get to the NBA Finals, I'm gonna crush them for disappointing.
I just if they were to finish, I guess if you put it this way, if they were to finish with the best defense at the end of the season, yeah, then we have to start being like, it's not just can you get out of the first round. I mean, that is still in my mind it doesn't matter if they win 49 games, but you got to get out of that first round of the playoff. That is like the next stink streak to end as every day now. I mean, on Monday I said they won on Saturday against the Hornets 15-4, matched their winning total from 20 years ago, and then last night they win, they're 16-4, and they matched their win total from the 14-15 season, which was that was the year that they traipsed out Zach LaVine and Wiggins and Thad Young and Anthony Bennett at the state fair, and they all look just absolutely sad to be there.
That's right.
I think I was texting Horton last night. He was like, "Is your next one going to be the 2010 team or whatever that went 17-65?" Yeah, it's probably going to be a reoccurring bit. So I apologize to the fans, but it's therapeutic to just every day cross off another embarrassing season. But yeah, to come back to the 40% thing, if they continue to play defense like this, Phil. And if Rudy Gobert, we talked on Monday, Rudy Gobert is just the MVP of the team now. It's not, I don't even think, debatable. Finch said last night he's playing his best basketball ever.
He's ever seen, yeah.
Finch didn't coach him in Utah, but Finch is well aware. They have people on the staff, right? Like Del Demps is in this front office. He was around Rudy back in Utah. But just to keep on the stat porn, I have a bunch of random stats from all over the place. The Wolves won last night by 8 points. 102-94. Rudy Gobert was plus 31.
Yeah.
That's impossible. That is like borderline impossible.
Dude, he was in foul trouble. He missed like most of the second quarter in foul trouble.
When he went out midway through the second, that's when the Spurs got life. And I found myself again. I said this before about comparing Rudy Gobert to like mushrooms on a pizza. When Rudy Gobert didn't play last year, I was like, okay, here we go. Let's cook a little bit. When Rudy Gobert goes out, I panic. And I thought it was really cool at the end of the game. Obviously, he 16 points, 20 rebounds, just phenomenal. Perfect from the line, 7 or 8 from the field. Had basically 3 putback, like dunk, weird chef layup that kind of knocked the Spurs out in the fourth quarter.
How many never minds?
Well, I was going to say, if anyone listened to the local broadcast, Michael Grady brought up Neverminds at the 8:38 mark in the third quarter.
Let's go, Grady.
We might have developed our own stat.
Grady. That's my guy.
16 and 20, and then Finch subbed him out, and that was intentional as hell. Like, that was a sub the guy out, give him a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And Target Center, to their credit, they have been
Smart
A1.
fans. Smart fans.
They gave them a standing ovation, and you know that the illness inside me has gotten stronger because I stood up on my couch. Like, I just stood up, and I was clapping Rudy Gobert. I'm the only one in the apartment. And I was just like, I'm so happy.
Was your wife in there with you while you were standing on the couch?
She just tries to stay away, man. She like get as far away, go to hot yoga, do whatever you got to do. But yeah, so plus 31 in a game that you win by 8. I just, you don't see that often. Karl was minus 14. Mike Conley was plus 9.
Shake.
Yeah. Just a really, really cool. But let me throw it back to you because I want to go back and forth with some more stats.
Okay, I want to keep just going on the Rudy front for a second here because you mentioned the plus 31. This was one of the most efficient games you'll find in the NBA all season. Now, the foul trouble, okay, he got the 3. Now, he didn't commit a foul his last foul was like with 9 minutes left in the second quarter, and then he played the entire rest of the game and did not commit a foul. But he scored 16 points on 8 shots. Dude, think about that. And he's not a 3-point shooter. Mm-hmm. So he scored 16 points on 8 shots. He did take one. I think it was one trip to the free throw line, or did he complete 2 and 1?
2 for 2 from the free throw line. Yeah.
Yep. So 16 points on 8 shots, 20 rebounds in 30 minutes, couple of blocks, couple of assists, and then however many neverminds he had, which I counted at least 4 or 5.
I do grab. Oh my god, I do grab this stupid little notebook that says Thursky on it. Shout out to Jake Scraps, and I'm recording neverminds now. Just like a tally.
You're tracking them?
How many times do I think
this is how PFF started, by the way, I'm pretty sure. Like, it was like Sam Munson in his basement 15 years ago being like, okay, that's a pressure by that left guard.
People that listen to this must think I am such a weirdo. But no, I'm tracking Nevermind. So shout out to Grady. I think we need to get that incorporated in all the stats. 4 factors and then Neverminds.
Right. We should, let's get the production crew at Bally's. Can we at least, once in a while, just at halftime, get an update? I think, too, some people in the YouTube comment section on Twitter suggested Nopes.
Yeah, that was good.
I think the Neverminds is good because it's NVM, like NVM in the box score, and it's just like, I think the Nope is a good one too because you're dribbling and you're like nope going this way, but the Nevermind to me is the.
I still like Neverminds, NVM for short, just like BLK for blocks. This is gonna probably turn sideways on the screen. Let's see if I did try to look up what Nevermind was in French.
You want full screen here?
I don't know. It's
YouTube.
Yeah, so Pas Grave. That's probably not how you pronounce it. Our French listeners can correct me on that, but that wasn't as catchy either. So we're gonna go with Neverminds. It's a real stat now for us, and Rudy Gobert is, as Grady said, leading the league in Neverminds. But yeah, 7 for 8 he just doesn't miss. I mean, he's just around the rim on both sides of the ball, cleaning up stuff. There was that possession where Ant drives because he kind of got warmed up there in the fourth, missed it off the rim. 3 guys, though, surround Ant because he has that much presence and aura, and he draws that attention, a la like a Steph does around the perimeter. And then Rudy's just there to clean it up. So he was phenomenal. You got another one? Or you want me to go?
No, I want to give you the rest of the number one defense stats here,
okay,
and then I'll throw it back to you. So just on the season here, the Wolves, by a wide margin, are number one in net defensive rating. So it's essentially a per 100 possessions number. They're allowing 106 points per 100 possessions. The Celtics are the next closest at 109. You got 109 Celtics. Rockets are 109.7. Magic 109.9. It's very rare that you see a 3-point gap. It's 20 games in, so it's probably going to regress a little bit. But it's pretty rare that you see a 3-point gap between the best defense and the second best defense. But here we are. In terms of other gaps, the Wolves are holding opponents to 42% from the field. The next closest is the Thunder at 43%. Thunder have a sneaky good defense. Opposing teams are shooting just 33% from 3, which is top 3 in the NBA. And boy, fouls, like the Wolves are such a foul. They're still like top 10 foul happy team. But to Karl's credit, he's actually reduced his like fouls per 36. But here's where, if you finish the season ranked number one defense historically, I gave you the NBA finals, I gave you the playoffs. I'll give you the rest of them. So we'll just go in order. 100% of number one defenses the last 30 years make the playoffs. 87% of number one defenses advance in the playoffs. They've only advanced in the playoffs once in franchise history, and it was 2004. 68% of number one defenses make the conference finals. 35% NBA finals, we told you that. But 23% of the number one defenses, 1 in 4, win the whole thing. So again, I'm driving the car way faster. You can't see the mile markers. I totally understand it, but it is a fair statement to say that if you are the best defense in the NBA, just without any other context, you can win the championship. But if you start to add other context, if I start to take you down the path of, okay, let's dig deeper. Who were those NBA champions that had the best defense? The Warriors from 2 years ago. Tough to compare because you got, Steph Curry might be one of the 5 greatest players of all time, but great lockdown defense and some offensive explosion. But the Wolves have some of that too with Anthony Edwards and Karl-Anthony Towns. The 2015 Warriors also had the best defense. That was also one of the greatest offensive teams in NBA history. The 08 Celtics with Kevin Garnett as the defensive anchor, but then you had like great isolation scorer in Paul Pierce, historic 3-point shooter in Ray Allen. The 2005 Spurs, best defense, won the championship. I think David Robinson was done by then, so it was Tim Duncan plus Manu and Tony Parker.
Right.
And then some various Lakers and Spurs teams from like late 90s, early 2000s, the 96 Bulls. People might be asking about the Pistons in 04. They were the second best defensive net rating, but that team had very little like high-end offense. They were just Ben Wallace and company just locking teams down. So, dude, it's interesting.
So the only caveat, and this is going to be a shameless plug, but my parents are going to be so proud of me. So I did a news interview today on WCCO. I don't know what station that is, but locally. But I'm going to be on some news channel at 5, I think, with wearing a mustache that I felt really bad about during the call. But he was asking too, just why should fans believe in this? Or like, there's Timberwolves fans or Minnesota fans have so much scar tissue. Why should they believe in this? Why should they? They've been in a toxic relationship. Why should they find love again? And it's that, right? It's the fact that I still lean, even in 2023, that defense is just better and more sustainable than offense is. Like, you can have cold shooting nights. They didn't really, last night, they didn't play well. They haven't really played well on offense in weeks, I think. And it doesn't matter because they just grind teams into dust. They really do. And then not to make a football analogy, but there's that team that can really run the ball, play good defense, and like Trent Dilfer's their quarterback these last couple of weeks. They just, we'll make one throw here, one throw there. Last night, Ant makes one big 3, Karl has a 3, game over. So if they can unlock the offense, that goes back, that's Finch. Finch is the wizard. If he can find ways to make this is a B. I think they're like 11th in offensive rating. This is like a B plus offense right now. If they ever unlock an A, I mean, the world is their oyster. They're going to be able to do whatever they want because the defense, they can bring that defense on the road, at home, neutral site, whatever. The defense continues to be like that. That's what tells you that this is different than any other Timberwolves team of the last 34, 35 years.
Yep. I think, and let's talk about Ant for a second, because I don't even know if he should have been playing last night. He was like limping around in the first, but he plays through injury. And he knows it's nationally televised and it's Wemby, and he doesn't want to just be sitting there. So if he's 75%, he's going to push his way into the game. And Wolves culture, as crazy as it sounds, there is a Wolves culture now. It kind of allows those guys to make those decisions, and they're opting in more often than they're opting out in those 50-50 situations. When you're watching them kind of hobble around, and Dane made the point on Twitter, when Ant used to have the back end of a back-to-back problem where he just looked sluggish in the second game. That's kind of how he looked last night coming back from the hip. And he's like moving his leg around and wincing and stuff. So I don't know what percentage of health he's at. It's nowhere near 100%. So on a night where he's not healthy, he can't knock down a shot. It was mostly his 2-point shots that weren't falling. He couldn't get close enough, and he couldn't knock in those mid-rangers. So he winds up 4 for 17. But still, he's playing clamps defense on some of those huge possessions. He winds up knocking down a big 3 toward the end. He winds up knocking down some big free throws. Go grab 7 rebounds, 6 assists, play lockdown defense. Plus 14 on the night, which was the second best plus minus on the team. I love that as he's growing, he's still going to have some of these clunker nights where he's shooting 25 or 30%. Ideally, you'd like to get rid of those too. But it's not going to be hollow. He's not going to go out there and do the 4 for 17 thing with only 1 rebound, Yep. Like he finds other ways to make an impact, and he was great at that last night, I thought.
Yeah, he led the team in assists with 6. The next closest was Mike Conley with 4. I think it's easy, Phil, to criticize things you don't know or people you don't know or processes you don't understand. If Ant played last night, which he did, like the Wolves have a good medical team. I know we've made fun of them before, the whole Josh Okogie cramping thing, and he was out for 3 months, but they have good people, and if they clear him, it is kind of part of the new culture. Like Finch is the type of guy. It's like, hey man, I think Finch has been like a tough love dad on Ant when it comes to like injuries. He's like, hey man, if you're gonna get on the court, then play. And Ant, to his credit, plays. And he'll limp around and stuff. He even said after the game, like, it wasn't that he was necessarily in pain or hurting, that he was just kind of nervous. He's like, I don't know if I want to fall again on that hip because it hurt really bad. So if he's out there, you got to expect him to play to a level that we've seen. And again, he 4 for 17 from the field. It wasn't a great night, but that is the evolution of this kid still at 22 than when he was 18. I'll just find other ways to make plays. I'll play defense. I'll just bring energy. He had that 3 in the corner when Troy Brown kind of hit him behind the back, and that kind of iced the game. So he was great. I thought Mike Conley was great again, 18 points. Led the team in 3-point attempts. Bench was good. Naz Reid might have the best handle in the entire league. Like for a big guy, he just that in and out dribble. He had a couple crazy dunks. So good performance all around, other than Shake Milton, which is becoming a weird trend. But there's still meat on the bone for this team, especially on the offensive end. But what they're doing on defense, how they're just, like you always say, putting the clamps on people, it's awesome stuff.
You know who loves the Timberwolves? I don't know. It sounds like you were watching the local broadcast, and I love those guys. But anytime there's an ESPN broadcast, sometimes I like to hear I can always hear Jim Pete and Grady, and those guys are the best. I want to hear what Hubie Brown has to say. Right? Mm-hmm. So Hubie Brown, that dude's 90 years old, man.
And he is still elite.
He's super sharp. Yeah.
Yep.
The only thing with him, and I'm critiquing a 90-year-old doing mostly excellent color commentary, he's the second non-home, like not counting the Timberwolves guys, who's referred to Karl-Anthony Towns this season as Anthony Towns throughout the entire game.
Yeah. And I will say, as a former blogger, I used to have that hyphen in the wrong spot, so I get the mistake. But yeah, if we could, and they do prep and stuff too, whether it be a national game or whatever. Like I know they were told and given a play sheet, like here's Karl-Anthony Towns. So the Anthony Towns stuff is a nuisance, and it just, as much as I've complained that this team doesn't get enough national TV games, I think the Spurs still have 16 more which is
Oh, it's
tough.
like this is like when the NFL put the Jets and the Broncos in like 13 nationally televised games. The Jets in particular.
Patriots Steelers Thursday Night Football. I hope you have Amazon Prime. So the Wolves don't get as many national TV games as we would like. I'm dumbfounded that they don't play on Christmas. This is another side tangent, but there is about 42 different marketing campaigns you could have done with Santa Claus and Rudy with a red nose and
Santa Claus.
The naughty and nice list with naughty and Nas. There's a ton of stuff that I've been coming up with my mental broken brain, but it's just great to listen to Grady and Jim. I listened to the ESPN broadcast last night too because that's how you got to do it in the moment. But then I re-listened to it today with Jim and Grady, and it's just great. The passion, the energy. Listen to Alan call it on the radio too. But at least Hubie had it mostly down last night, and when he sees pure, like really good basketball defense, he just can't stop but salivating, and you can hear it through the call. He's like, "This is
great.
Rudy Gobert. I've never seen him play like this," and he's right.
Amazing.
It's the best version of him.
You mentioned that the 16 wins for the Timberwolves. We did this when they hit the 15-win mark. Now they've hit the 16-win mark.
This.
Yeah, there's a 17-win team too from like 2010 that we can talk about. So they hit the 16-win mark, which ties the 16-66 Wolves from 2014-15. And I'm going to put you on the spot right now. There were 19 players on that roster who started at least one game. How many of those 19 can you name? This is part of our exercising Wolves demons and putting the past to bed celebration here.
Wait, so what team was this?
This is the 2014-15 Minnesota Timberwolves.
Okay, so I think that's the one. Let's do some research here. Is that the one I tweeted about? Okay, yeah. So I tweeted out a photo. It was Anthony
you got a
Bennett.
few of those guys.
Are you going to keep track?
I'm just going to tally.
Okay, just tally. So Anthony Bennett, Andrew Wiggins.
Anthony Bennett did not start a game. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He started 3. You're right. My bad.
Andrew Wiggins.
Yep.
Zach LaVine.
Yep. That's good.
Thad Young.
I'm going to give you dingers for this.
Costa Koufis.
I think he was before this.
That might be
the
next year, because the next year I believe is when they drafted Karl. This 14-15 season is kind of how they led to getting the number 1 pick. Now I'm going to panic.
We got all the time in the world.
Pekovic was on that team.
Yeah, he started 29 games.
Rubio was probably on that team.
Yeah, he started in one of the many years where he was hurt. He only played 22 games.
Was Luke Ridnour on that team?
This is a little past the Luke Ridnour.
Okay. R.I.P. to Luke's career, not the person. Oh man, I don't remember. Was Ramon Sessions still on this team at that time? I might be drawing blanks now. But Kevin Martin was probably there, right?
Kevin Martin's on the team.
Kevin Martin.
Got this.
I don't know who. Who was on the wing. Like, I don't know. I don't know.
Some glorious names. I'm trying to see how many more are like. Well, I will say this. Oh man, I'll start giving you hints here. There's a Hall of Famer you haven't mentioned, and 2 guys who scored 50 points in Wolves uniforms that you haven't mentioned.
Mo Williams. Okay. Mo Williams' 50-point game for the Timberwolves has to be like a top 10 Timberwolves moment of all time. Just because it's the most random thing ever. Like, you'll bring it up when on your deathbed as a trivia, and you'll be like, what? Mo Williams? That wasn't the Hall of Famer.
There's a Hall... go ahead. You got it.
Shabazz Muhammad was still on the team.
You got 9. You're up to 9.
If Corey Brewer was on the team, I don't know who the Hall of Famer would be. Well, I mean, okay. Was that? Are you saying Kevin Garnett?
Second stint.
That's it. That's all. I'm out. I'm gassed.
He played the 5 games. You got to 10 there. Okay, the rest of them. Adrian Payne, actually R.I.P. Payne, right? Justin Hamilton, Lorenzo Brown started 7 games.
Okay.
Chase Budinger started 4. Robbie Hummel started 4. We should get Robbie Hummel on the show. He does like college basketball stuff.
I'll slide in his DMs.
Gary Neal started a game.
I didn't say this name, but now they're Gorgie Jang was probably
Gorgie Jang started 49 games. He was there. Yeah. He was there last night.
Yeah, he was I did not know that he was, I believe, a free agent. Correct me in the YouTube comments if I'm wrong, but I don't think he signed with a team, which is kind of weird because he has a little juice left. But they listed him last night on the Jumbotron as Minnesota Timberwolves alum. And he is, what he did in the community, I don't know if a lot of people know, but like just, he is great. What he's done for his back in like Africa and stuff, he just has put so much money into like improving things. I don't know, he's one of the best guys. So having him around is just another feather in the cap. But yeah, that 14-15 team was.
There's
was
one
wild,
more guy
man.
too that started one game that just, it feels like a randomly generated create a player on NBA 2K. Arinze Anuwaku.
Okay, I got to look.
He's a
this up
6'9" center and power forward who went to Syracuse. And he played 19 games in the NBA, 6 with the Timberwolves with 1 start.
So he's probably in the top 100 list for the Timberwolves.
He's close.
You played one game, you got the keys. That's crazy.
So
can I tell you, like, can I give you my favorite stat? And this is just new, and this is the Flagrant Howls like perfect stat. But the Wolves play the Grizzlies on Friday. I'm actually a little concerned. The Grizzlies have kind of figured out a little bit.
They've won we said going in, you got 4 games against bad teams.
Good point.
Go 3-1.
Yep.
They can punt that game for all I care at this.
Desmond
Now
Bane
the schedule gets really tough after. So
okay, now I have 2 stats. One, they play the Grizzlies on Friday. Quick plug: Dane Moore and I are going to go live on YouTube after that. So if you want to come watch us, we'll just record live after that. It'll be fun. But after the Grizzlies game, the Wolves play 16 straight games against teams at or above 500. That is brutal. Like the worst quote unquote team on the schedule is the Houston Rockets, and they're like 9-9. But yeah, 3-1, 4-0 over this stretch would be great. It does get really difficult, so we're gonna start grinding here soon. But coming into this year, I remember this for the last 6 years since I covered the team. One of the things you associated the Minnesota Timberwolves with was that they had, Phil, the lowest all-time winning percentage of the major professional sports in North America. They were dead last. I don't know how many teams that is, 120 some. They came into this season with a 40.23 winning percentage. That is dead last and trailed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were second to dead last, with 40.32.
Wow.
After starting the season 16-4 and factoring in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers record, the Minnesota Timberwolves now have a 40.52% all-time winning percentage and are no longer the worst team.
Let's go right now. Come on. That's right. Get the flags, everybody.
That's banner worthy.
Hang the banner. That's backwards. Sorry.
The Wolves are back.
Backward.
Take that, Tampa.
So they and okay. Is there no looking back now? I mean, Tampa Bay in the next couple years isn't going to be. They're going to be probably drafting a quarterback, right? If the Wolves can just kind of accelerate these next couple years, I don't think there's any looking back.
I spent a lot of time on the clock today trying to find this stat and do some numbers. So I don't know what the entire list is. If someone has that, please send it to me on Twitter. I don't know what the updated one is, but yeah, going 16-4 has upped their overall. I think they're now 1,107 wins. 1,625 losses, but they bumped up damn near 0.5%. So if they could win 50 games, maybe 60, if you want to get weird, they could probably boost that thing over to 41%. So a 50% winning percentage is not that far away. It might be 2029 at this rate, but we're making progress. Stock up.
Here's another. Okay, you brought up the schedule. Let's talk about this for a second, and we will get to a random Wolf of the Week. So. Okay, unless you want to fight me on this, I don't think they're going to play. So right now, I'm just doing a little. This is a stat porn episode here.
Carry the 2 little number crunch.
So right now they're playing. What's 16? They've won what 80% of their games, right?
800%.
Times 82. So right now they're playing at a 66 win pace. I don't think they're going to keep up a 66 win pace. Schedule picks up, right? Here's what I think. You tell me if I'm setting the bar too low. Go beat Memphis, despite what I just said. Go beat Memphis on Friday night. All right, just get to 17-4. In the following 16 games, which you mentioned, are all against 500 teams or better, and it's not like fluke teams either. I mean, you got 2 games against LeBron and AD. Now, there's going to be some of these where you don't get a team's best player or there's an injury, but you got the Pacers in here. You got a road game against Philadelphia, Miami. You got I mean, dude, Dallas is coming up a week from today, and then you get Dallas again. Actually, you get Dallas 3 times during this stretch. Luka last night, I don't know if you saw this, at halftime, dude. Halftime had 29, 10, and 10.
Only 9 NBA players played defense last night in the association, and they all played for Minnesota.
They did. Well, 8 of them and Shake Milton. But I don't want to dump on Shake. So if they beat Memphis and let's say they level out in those 16 following games and they go 8-8. If my math is right, they're going to be 25-12 after those 16 games, which would take you to January 10th.
Yeah, if they beat Memphis and then yep.
They'd be 25-12. And that would be a 55 win pace if they can just play 500 basketball across those 16 games. Dude, even if you play, let's say you go 7-9 and you're 24-13, I guess, would be your record. You're still playing at a 50+ win pace. So I guess, A, am I lowering the bar too much by saying, hey, just play 500 basketball between now and January 10th? And B, if they were to continue playing at a 55 win pace from now into the end, I mean, I think that's a fair expectation, I guess, is my point.
Yeah, and not only after this Memphis game, which is on the road, is it 16 straight against what I would deem playoff teams at or above 500. 11 of them are on the road. Like, their schedule from basically Saturday morning until they host the Blazers on January 12th, it's brutal. And it does get easier. Like, then it's like Portland, Pistons, Hornets, Spurs, Nets. They have a pretty friendly stretch of home games like in March. They finish, I think, with 3 or 4 at home to end the season. So it's not lowering the bar, because I'm still very much in the mindset of this. Like, the NBA is always a marathon. It's been more fun this season, to Adam Silver's credit, because of the in-season tournament and the Wolves having their best start in franchise history. But it's still going to get sludgy. It's going to get even colder, and you're going to have a couple injuries or guys wear down. So I would say the Memphis thing, we gave them a 3-1 out during this 4-game stretch. I would say Memphis, there's no reason to lose to Memphis. Yes, they've gotten a little better. They're getting a little excited because Ja Morant's coming back. He won't be there on Friday. You win that game, and then, just buckle down and go 8-8 over the next 16. And 24-12, I mean, I would be shocked. No real way to figure this out, Phil, but I would be shocked at 24-12 if that's still not maybe the best team in the West. Like, you would go 8-8 over a 16-game stretch, and you're still first place in the West. So, it's a big game on Friday for sure, because after that, it's going to be a gauntlet of teams.
If you think about it too, let's just do some more math. So if you get to, let's say you get to 25-12, you play 500 there. The Nuggets would have to go 11-4 to tie you. The Lakers would have to go 12-3 over that stretch to tie you. The Thunder would have to go 12-5. So again, you could. It's kind of amazing. You could play 500-ish basketball, and these other teams for a month, and these other teams would have to be red hot to catch you because. And this is the other point I was making. The Wolves oftentimes just start slow or are like even the 2003-04 team, the best team in franchise history. They were like 9-9 after their first 18 games or something. So they didn't have the leeway to like run into a bad stretch in January or February. They had to then, okay, it's time to go if we're going to get to 50 wins. The Wolves, by starting this hot, have given themselves a little grace period to weather injuries. And they're doing it, too, without their best perimeter defender, Jaden McDaniels. So just building in that cushion is a big deal in an NBA season where if a guy twists an ankle, if a guy, shockingly, I know, strains a calf or something, you've built it into your win-loss record here for the next few months.
Yeah, and this is a shout-out to my AP Psych class back at Red River High School. But I remember learning about Pavlov's dog, like classical conditioning, and just it's like they gave the dog a treat or whatever. Shows you how much I listened. But I remember the concept of it, and that's like what the Wolves are. I don't mean to dumb it down, but Ant said this the other night just on the road. He's like, now that we know what winning feels like we've never really won before. He's like, we didn't win my first 3 years here. We made the playoffs. We didn't win. He's like, now that we know what winning feels like and what the bus ride's like and the plane ride and all stuff, we just don't want to lose. We want to keep winning. And I think that's really cool for the Wolves is that I actually, as a sicko, I don't want them to lose to the Grizzlies, Phil, but I want them to lose to a good team and be like, okay, that sucks. We hate the feeling. And it bit us in the rear end again that we once again played really poorly on offense. So I don't want them to peak in December. I don't want them to get too big of heads. I think Finch, who, by the way, I know we're 35 minutes into this, but Chris Finch, coach of the month. Who would have thought? After everyone fired him after the Atlanta Hawks game.
Finchy.
First coach in NBA history to win the Coach of the Month award while also being fired. Impressive stuff. But yeah, I want to see them, I want to see them get matched up against a really good team. Have that team be like, because this happens all the time when a big team comes to town, like, we're going to extra film, extra prep, extra strategy. I want to see teams circle the Wolves on their calendar and get their best shot, because the one thing, to go back to the finals thing, or can this team win it all, Grandma Rita, is that they don't have a lot of experience in high leverage situations and high pressure moments. They have some vets, but Rudy Gobert was never really relied on in high pressure moments. He was just playing defense. Mike Conley's a little older. Kyle Anderson's not going to be the guy taking final shots. So can Ant, can Karl, can Jaden, can Naz, can they step up in big moments, hit big shots like they've done so far this season against the best of the best? And it remains to be seen.
What are I'll throw this out too before we get to our random wolf here. In terms of like things to keep an eye on, not things that are like keeping you up at night, but things that you might be, besides injuries, that you might be a little nervous about. I mean, the backup point guard or ball handler situation behind Conley, you thought Shake Milton was going to be better than he's been. I think Jordan McLaughlin, when healthy, we saw in the first couple months of last year, how many times did our Wolves stat porn revolve around, boy, Jordan McLaughlin doesn't look like he's having a huge impact on the game, but he's a great organizer. So I think if you can get healthy Jordan McLaughlin minutes at some point and he's back 5-on-5 practice, that's going to be helpful. But I wonder who the third scorer on this team is. I think that's been one of the issues when Anthony Edwards is out. Cat missed 50 games last year. There's games where Cat gets into foul trouble and he's got to sit for, 20 minutes. Who is the third guy? Sometimes it's Naz. Mm-hmm. I think Shake is supposed to be maybe filling that category sometimes. Sometimes it's Mike. But does there need to be a more defined third offensive option here at some point?
I've been wondering that too. Would that be ideal? Like, would it be ideal that your third go-to scorer, if Ant's off or Karl's in foul trouble, is blank? But I also wonder if it's just harder to scheme against if you don't know from the opponent's side. Like, oh my God, it could be that 6'10" kid that was undrafted from LSU. It could be Nikhil. It could be 36-year-old Mike Conley.
Could be Kyle's little floater in the lane.
It could be Kyle. I mean, Kyle Anderson had one of the slowest posters of all time last night. It was amazing in transition. I don't know, and it goes back to what I said about being a B- or a B level offense right now. They have holes. They don't have a backup point guard, and Kyle has filled that role wonderfully, but they need a little extra juice in there from Jordan McLaughlin, as we've kind of learned that they're just never going to lean into the Wendell Moores, Josh Minotts, Leonard Miller. Those guys are probably another year away. But yeah, Shake Milton has just not. And the thing that sucks about Shake, because I see him kind of get killed every night on Twitter in the comments, is that from my couch, it just seems all psychological. It doesn't really seem physical. It doesn't look like he's lost a step or lost a burst, but when it leaves his hands, when he dribbles, he just kind of looks like he's shaky, so no pun intended. So he might be the guy that you got to upgrade, but this team still lacks scoring punch off the bench because, yes, Naz Reid was great last night. Honk if you love Naz Reid, but he'll give you an 8-point stinker too. So who is that consistent scorer that you can rely on to get you 6-8 points in a hot spot? Nikhil did it once or twice this year, but who's going to be the most consistent guy to step up?
Yeah. Yep. It's Jaden McDaniels has, in terms of like who has something in their offensive bag that it feels like is untapped. Mm-hmm. I think at some point he becomes a 17, 18 points per game guy. He definitely has more in the offensive bag, so something to keep an eye on. Or maybe it is better when you never know. It's smoke and mirrors, man. Any night. Could be Troy Brown Jr. from the corner 6 times, and good luck.
I said my dad did ask me this, and then we can go into random over the week. He's just like, what if they were just 4-16? Like how this would all suck. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God, again.
Why are you guys talking about that?
Right. So it's like, what would we be doing? What would we be talking about? So yeah.
At that point we'd be every show would be Karl-Anthony Towns.
People. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think if I think Chris Finch actually would have been fired if they would have started 4-16. And then the Cat trade rumor train would be out the gate, or maybe the Gobert. And then like Anthony Edwards, there'd be rumors about getting him out of town, not from like Minnesota media and fans, but yeah, but good thing they're not 4-16.
Happy to be where we're at, 16-4. Just can't stop smiling.
Let's get our guy in here, producer Ross, coming in. Loaded with a random wolf of the week for us.
Also, I'm Ross. If people don't know, Ross is the best in the business at producing, and he will be messaging Phil and I while we're talking. And Ross gave me about 9 different things on Pavlov's dog, and was basically a AP Psych lesson.
Pavlov rang a bell shortly before feeding the dogs to get a response from the pups. Yeah,
that's what Finch does. He just rings a bell and he gets his little pups to perform.
Play defense.
Play defense.
We are AP Psych buds, Kyle. I knew I liked you. Shout out to Miss Ines at the Lakeville High School.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wait,
boys
is this
ready
before
here?
there was a Lakeville North and a Lakeville South?
I am so old. This is before there was a North and a South.
Okay.
Wow, you're 26.
I believe
That's
Miss
crazy.
Ines retired, by the way. So congrats on the retirement, too.
Miss Ines. Go get him.
So right now, gentlemen, we have Kyle leading 3-0 in Random Wolf of the Week. But do you want to set the table, Phil? Since you probably
you can.
right?
If you feel good, set the table going. I'll set it now, and then you can set it going forward for all the.
Wonderful.
So yeah, Random Wolf of the Week. Ross brings clues.
Mm-hmm.
We can shout out answers whenever we think we know the Random Wolf of the Week. If one of us hits a third strike, the other person wins automatically. So you got to be strategic with your aggression. Kyle has 3 victories. I have none so far, so I'm still in search of my first Random Wolf of the Week. Ross, the floor is yours. No
we'll
Googling.
see how it goes today, gentlemen. This Wolf of the Week was born in 1985. So start doing the math in your head.
Okay.
This Wolf of the Week born in
Significantly older than I am.
85.
Exactly the age of me.
No,
actually.
no, take that back. Cut that. I'm not 38
Clue
yet.
number 2, boys. This Wolf of the Week was once graded as, believe it or not, the number 1 5th grade basketball player in the nation.
Okay.
This Wolf of the Week.
Hold on. Slow it down a pace.
Okay.
I just want to let that sit for a second.
Dim the lights.
Dim the lights. This Wolf of the Week, Mr. Mackey, no longer a Minnesota Timberwolf.
Okay.
This Wolf of the Week played guard in the National Basketball Association.
Okay. Keep it moving.
And if you're wondering, this Wolf of the Week is no longer in the National Basketball Association.
Okay.
That'd be pretty old. Although I say that, and there's a 38, 39-year-old guy that's playing 38 minutes a night and scoring 26 a game.
And you and I, Phil, are both in that same age group, so you'd be disparaging us at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, I play at a very high level still on the microphone at age 38.
100% you do. 100% you do. This Wolf of the Week played for 8 NBA teams, the last of which was the Oklahoma City Thunder in 2014.
Oh, wow. So he's been
gone for quite some time.
2014. I almost had a guess, but it was wrong, so I'm glad I didn't.
Me too. I had one there too, but
This-
he's not that old.
This is where I think the guesses are going to start coming here. We are turning the corner. This Wolf of the Week did not play college basketball. I'll follow that up with this Wolf of the Week was drafted 13th overall in the 2004 NBA draft.
Oh my God, these are ones where like, I wish I knew my drafts a little better, but Kyle's gonna get it now. 13th overall.
Kyle's really thinking about this one. I can see it. Does your head hurt from all the thinking, Kyle? I can see it.
No, because I have 2. There's he's a guard, so we have that. I think I have a guess, but Ross, these are really good clues, so give me one more. But I might blurt.
And
it
the
out.
Wolves did the Wolves? Is this the time where the Wolves didn't have a? No, they drafted. I guess they drafted Indy EB around this time. So they got their picks back a little bit.
They did have some first.
But they traded
draft picks.
this pick to get Cassell. Because I don't
Ross,
think
you
they
either
ha-
got to give me another clue or else I'm going to guess, because Phil's getting way
This-
too close to me.
This Wolf of the Week wore number 3 for the Minnesota
Brandon Roy.
Timberwolves.
Sebastian Telfair.
Damn it.
Bingo.
That's a good one.
Phil is incorrect. Kyle is
Did
correct.
Did not go to college. Remember the number 3. It was the guard, it was the Thunder year, and it was the not going to college part. He was Sebastian Telfair, go look him up, was like a historically cool prospect coming out. Didn't know he was a great 5th grader. Thought maybe he was a great 11th grader.
Yeah, but he was highly touted.
Do you want some of the other fun clues
Yes,
since we'll
yes.
never use Seabass
Yes.
again? Well, Kyle, I was thinking this might be the one that you would get since you're so up on NBA and legal issues. In March of 2023, this Wolf of the Week pled guilty. I don't know if you guys knew this. I didn't. To submitting false claims to defraud the NBA's Player Health and Welfare Benefit Plan.
Yeah, I think I would have got it
Not-
there, Ross.
Not a smart idea.
There's a couple other big names on that situation that, yeah.
Dude, he was one of the worst shooting guards. He could distribute a little bit, if I recall,
Yeah,
but
shorter,
dude couldn't
shorter,
hit them.
undersized, but
Yeah.
people thought he might have been kind of a next Chris Paul type thing. But he was fun. He was fun for sure.
It was
Other
exciting when the
clues?
Wolves landed him because you thought, oh man, this now he's going to reach his potential as one of the bright young stars. But he just
They're going to let him figure it out on this bad team. Turns out, he also wasn't so great.
Yeah.
Some other
Yeah.
clues that you may have hopped in on this Wolf of the Week was one's on the cover of Slam magazine
Yep.
with LeBron.
Wow.
Maybe what you were referencing, Kyle. Wolf of the Week, born in Brooklyn, New York. This Wolf of the Week was included in the Kevin Garnett trade. And also, and I think you guys both know this Wolf of the Week's cousin is former Minnesota Timberwolf, Stephon Marbury.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that
Also-
trade.
Go.
Just for legal purposes, I keep saying Sebastian Telfair was awesome. A quick Google search: what happened to Sebastian Telfair? From the Brooklyn Daily Eagle on November 27th of 2023. Telfair, a Brooklyn native and former basketball phenom, was arrested in 2017 after a traffic stop where police discovered multiple firearms in his vehicle. He served 3.5 years in prison.
He was in jail for 3 years.
Oh, I missed that part. Looking.
What?
Oh, he was convicted and sentenced to 3 years and 3.5 years. We'll have to get stats and research on if he actually served those times, but good basketball player. I'll leave it at that.
That
Phil,
trade,
would-
by the way, was it was Telfair, Gomes, Gerald Green, Big Al, and then Theo Ratliff's contract for Kevin Garnett. And then they selected Johnny Flynn with the. Actually, they got 2 first-round picks.
2
One
first-round
Johnny Flynn, the other one they selected Wayne Ellington. So
Which is why, to bring it all full circle, the Rudy Gobert trade cannot be the worst trade in NBA history because this
'Cause the
team has
KG
had
trade
even
exists.
worse trades.
Yeah.
Just this team.
KG
Not all the
trade
other
exists.
teams. This team has made worse, dumber, mind-boggling trades.
yes.
Now-
Good stuff, Ross.
Just because I like to play fair, Phil, in your opinion, is Kyle just too good for you, or are my questions worded more towards Kyle?
No,
Because
you're doing. You guys are doing.
You're skunked, my man. You're skunked.
I'm aware. Yes, I'm aware. No,
I'm aware.
I'm right now. I'm tied with Judd in the Viking of the week, the random Viking of the
Okay.
week. Since we started doing, I used to give out the clues every week, so Judd built up a year-long all-time lead. I think Kyle is just better at this game than I am right now, but I vow to get better. Okay, I will get some wins as
in
well.
Phil's defense, Phil has to be on top of all the teams, right? Like if you did the Vikings left guard of the week this week, I probably wouldn't know. That's why Phil doesn't let me go over to the SKOR North Purple Daily Show. I stay in my lane. I have a role. I am Troy Brown Jr. of this podcast. I just get the random wolf of the week, make a couple jokes, and keep moving.
In credit to Kyle, before I make myself disappear, what blows my mind about Kyle is I think 3 of the 4 times he has nailed this before, in my mind, I've gotten to the clues that make it a tiny bit more obvious.
That's what makes Kyle great at this game.
He's digging really deep on some
That's
of
what
these
makes
clues.
me so unique.
I'm going to
in
be
so many
reading a
bad
lot
ways.
of Wolves historical media guides in the next couple weeks here to try and brush up on my. I want to be able to, when you say, because you give these clues that if you know your drafts really well,
Yeah,
you should be able to hit
helps me.
some of these. So it's good
You know,
stuff there.
Maybe you need to go to NBA.com or YouTube or NBA TV and just watch every draft in the Minnesota Timberwolves era from
Yeah.
1989.
That sounds like what you
And
would
then
do
put
if you were
needles in
convicted.
my eyes.
That's
Yeah.
that would happen if you were convicted and sentenced to 3.5 years of prison.
You
That's
could either
what
go
you do.
3.5
You
years
just
in
watch.
prison or watch every Wolves draft from the year
Same
after they
thing.
drafted
I'll take
KG.
the prison. I'll
Same
take the
thing,
prison.
different food.
So congrats to Kyle on a well-fought victory. Random Wolf of the Week. If you guys could, you can help us keep growing this thing. And you can help donate to Kyle's notebook fund as he takes notes on
What a
the
loser.
Neverminds.
What a
Rudy Gobert's
loser.
Neverminds. Go to Apple or Spotify and give us a 5-star rating and a positive review, Flagrant Howls, and click the like button and the subscribe button on the SKOR North YouTube channel. You can also find Kyle as part of Dane Moore's NBA podcast on all those same platforms. So, all right, Kyle, we'll talk. I think you and I will do it again next week a couple of times here.
Appreciate
See
it. Thank you,
as
sir.
we dive into the harder part of the Wolves schedule. This is Flagrant Howls, your favorite Timberwolves lifestyle podcast.